Someone has inspired us. We who touch pen to page, toes to stage, fingers to mic, someone along the way has shifted us to journey this art form real. For me, her name was Desdemona Rocks. I watched her perform a poem about a rocking chair in 2001, and since then, I have flipped lives like backs, shaped young minds like earth, crafted sacred spaces where poets can pray today. I received a message from a young girl telling me that my poetry saved her life, that I would never be able to understand, but she needed to thank me, says she looks up to me like goddess, and I tell her, it is only because we are a reflection of each other. Like mirror, we image of God divine. This word is a responsibility. This art, a reason to breathe another day. This breath, a reason to expand this vision of our lives. This vision, a reason to give thanks. This art is of earth. It smells of soil, prolific. These letters can only be made out by some, but this energy is limitless. We are givers of life. With each hand we stimulate to move, each voice we energize to crack, each knee we prompt to bend, each spark we spit into ash. Flame ignites on passion alone, and there is always enough. There is no reason to crumple up those words on your pages. Your experience is a life. Your life is enough. There is no idea. You have no idea whose life you may be saving right now. I remember being a young girl, really wrestling with the idea that everyone's story really mattered all that much. As if the landscape and topography of one's life was more than a mere snapshot within the vastness of time and space. I wondered how truly significant could a speck of dust really be? In 2001, I would hear spoken word poetry at a cafe in Minneapolis, Minnesota, for the first time. And the next 12 years of my life would be an unraveling of this thought I had, slowly exposing just how important every single story is to the fabric of human existence. Eventually, I would learn that the simple act of sharing a slice of inspiration from an authentic place has the power to heal, change, or even save another human life. And so, the stories began to unfold like petals before me. Taro root, first boiled, pounded, fermented, then presented to me as my first food, called poi. Mango, banana, avocado were to follow, smashed up, then swallowed. We are of the very first land and soil that feeds us. Of the very first sounds we hear, waves breaking against the shore, slapping and sliding back against the sand, ipus, ukuleles, Jawaiian riffs, wind. We are of our first smells. Mother's skin, lilikoi, gardenia, salt, heat, sweat, all things coconut. I was born on the island of Oahu, the daughter of two parents who knew little of their own roots, ate sushi, teriyaki, Fukushima hot dogs with everything on them, and then donned the lays of the land like the others who had come there before them. Knew not their mother's tongue nor their father's song, but it would not be long until my father left to a land called Africa. And my 8-year-old mind at the time had no idea where Africa even was or what he was getting us into, but since you are now listening closely, I will tell you that it mostly meant the beginning of the end of my island girl life as I knew it. From that day forth, I was forced new language, dance, new music, and through this, it was as though I was born again. In a cultural, physical, spiritual context, my friend, a little golden-skinned blonde girl in an earth-black land. I didn't even know what it meant to be black, white, rich, or poor back then, but I learned the codes very quickly. The simplicity of island life stripped like banana peel from fruit flesh from me, and I began eating new foods, smelling new smells, and I think my walk even changed. It went from flip-flop dragging to fully lifted feet, into colonial concrete structures from Hawaiian Island Beach, went from pidgin English tongue to fully crossed British teas, and English culture introduced me to afternoon tea, and 3 kisses upon cheeks every time one meets and greets and bids farewell. See, all these little rituals made up the culture in me. I started practicing yoga at 13, became a vegetarian, read books on Haile Selassie and Taoism, learned to read tarot and swing pendulums, cooked and ate everything from Mediterranean to African to Latin cuisine, traveled multiple times across this earth by the age of 13, and I picked up little pieces of culture across the globe, each one resonating with the language of my soul: dança da kizomba, capoeira de Angola, Native American prayer chants, Nyaya Bingi One Drop, Nyaya Titi, and I gave birth to a little Luo boy. I fed him smashed banana, grown from Kenyan soil, as his first food, and even now, he has mastered Makaku, calls me Mamai, speaks English and Kiswahili in a little accent you can't quite tap into, loves hip-hop and breakdance, and he has this unique ability to identify individual spices in complex flavors. And see, like these flavors, we too are complex, with the freedom to choose from anywhere, from everywhere, choosing from daily rituals to ways of prayer, who we will marry and what we will wear. And it can be argued that being so much of everything makes one not much of anything, and sometimes I feel lost. Without a path laid out before me, guided by my ancestors' light, showing me the way to teach my son and keep him safe, but I know that I would trade structure and safety for freedom any day. And I give thanks to be part of a generation so mixed, part of a generation so twisted we've created new languages, new tongues, and a new voice. I give thanks for being blessed with the gift of cultural choice. Yeah. Those types of stories. So that is a story of my life, a small piece. Growing up between my mother on Maui, my father in Kenya, the commute between them was 17,369 kilometers, and I made the commute often and always alone. After that day in the Minneapolis cafe, I would go on to pursue my own poetic vocation in the form of performances, workshops, mentorships, and the design of various platforms to amplify emerging voices. This work would take me to some really interesting places, from schools in the hearts of South Africa's Soweto to juvenile correctional facilities in the United States, to hip-hop stages, to the United Nations headquarters in New York City. In 2008, I co-founded a movement in Nairobi, Kenya, called Slam Africa, along with a friend of mine named Moses Mbasu, or lovingly known in the community as Buddha Blaze. Blaze, what's that Blaze? The idea was for us to provide a number of different opportunities for poets from all walks of life to come together and share their stories. We would feature weekly workshops on writing and performance techniques, working to take a poet's work from the page to the stage, and then we would put on a slam poetry competition for these voices to come and compete amongst their peers, and the people who would show up to support them was nothing short of amazing. You would have the who's who of Nairobi snapping and clapping with people from some pretty tough streets. In 2010, when I decided to leave Kenya after 18 years of calling it home, I left the movement in the hands of some of the strongest members of the community with one simple request: please keep it alive. Nearly 10 years later, Slam Africa continues to nurture an entire new generation of writers, names, hundreds of names I have never even heard before. And the platform propelling these young artists to pursue their own poetic ambitions, leading to new opportunities for employment, entrepreneurial endeavors, and, if at the very least, just a powerful form of self-expression. There are a lot of things that divide us, from race and politics to deep socioeconomic divides, but I've never been much concerned with division I'm much more interested in connection. And I know that this is not a luxury that everyone can afford, but I stand in awe at the textured thread of humanity that unites us. And poetry does this. It makes us human. It makes us alive. It makes us real. And it serves as an eraser, like any powerful form of art, as an eraser of these lines that divide us. In 2012, I pretty much stopped writing poetry. In 2015, I took a hiatus from the stage. I moved on to other things. I became a yoga medicine instructor, a jewelry designer, and started a lifestyle design company. But I have come to understand that my own work, in whatever capacity, is to inspire others to access the most powerful parts of themselves. Because in actuality, we people are made up of the same stuff as stars, so it's only our nature to shine, right? When we are seeking the depths of our inner connection, we must first make our three essences align, right? And like planets, we too operate in a circular motion. And given the way that we see reality, we comprehend that all things are only temporary, yet we desire to know that something in us is eternal. And that in essence, the most important part of us will never die. And in attempts for our human brain to grasp the concept of no beginning and no end, we challenge the fundamental essence of being thought-productive beings and see we only use a small percentage of our capacity to store information. So I ask of you, what is in all this empty space?